And I think where the company is right now, what it has, being one of the largest undeveloped primary silver deposits in the United States, in a county that the federal government is helping to see things approved, is going to bode well for us in the future.
What's important for us is that Equinox's project, the Castle Mountain, is in the same San Bernardino County that our Calico project is in. So a testament for the county. It tells you California is a good place to be for project development, that San Bernardino in particular is the right jurisdiction, and that projects can get on the fast track, the permitting fast track within that jurisdiction. So it's meaningful for them, but it's really meaningful for us because we're located, about 100 miles away from that project, but in the same county.
For disclosure purposes, our site does not make recommendations for purchases or sale of stocks, services, or products. Nothing on our site or this podcast should be construed as an offer or solicitation to buy or sell products or securities. All investing involves risk and possible losses. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. For disclosure purposes, Apollo Silver is a paid-for client on the Investor Ideas website. Ross and Andy, it's so great to have you both back on the show. I wanted to start the conversation off with that you just put out that press release congratulating Equinox Gold on that Fast Track 41 program. I think, what'd you say, 165 kilometers away from the Calico Project. So can we just get your commentary for, again, investors that are maybe not as familiar with California and obviously the trajectory of that changing everything moving forward for San Bernardino?
Yeah, I mean, Equinox announced the Fast 41. What it essentially is the federal government streamlining the whole permitting aspects. They're focusing it towards critical minerals. It isn't just about critical minerals. It's about really strategic minerals as well. Anything that the government deems as important to their infrastructure, to the industry, those sorts of things. They're basically streamlining the permitting aspect at the federal level under a single umbrella. The net effect of that is that it promises to, take years or, a great deal of time off the whole permitting process. It should move it along much more efficiently, much quicker, more streamlined. So I think that basically that's it in a nutshell. The fact that Equinox Gold announced it. What's important for us is that Equinox's project, the Castle Mountain, is in the same San Bernardino County that our Calico project is in. So it's a testament for the county. It tells you California is a good place to be for project development, that San Bernardino in particular is the right jurisdiction, and that projects can get on the fast track, the permitting fast track within that jurisdiction. So it's meaningful for them, but it's really meaningful for us because we're located, about 100 miles away from that project, but in the same county.
Andy, do you want to talk about, I know you have a resource update coming out hopefully this fall for Calico. Do you want to just talk about the barite being added into that, and then maybe give investors a little bit of some of the uses for barite, because I feel like a lot of them probably don't know how many uses there are for it in the US.
So earlier this year, the company ran a 10,000 sample program to establish a compliant barite resource. The engineers and geologists are just finalizing that now, and relatively soon we're going to release a compliant barite resource. We always knew ASARCO had historically indicated there was about a 13+% barite credit in the mineralization. Why it's important to us is that barite is on the critical mineral list in the US. The majority of the US's barite use or demand is imported from other global sources. Having a domestic supply is likely valuable. And so we'll get some bargaining chips with the United States government. We don't know quite yet where those all might fold. It might help us in permitting. It might help us in, maybe there's grant money, but just having a mineral that's on that critical list is valuable, especially in the current administration. And so why barite is critical in the US is that it's primarily used as a weighting agent in the oil and gas industry. There are no real replacements for it, and that's its primary use. You might find it as a weighting agent in, well, curiously enough, they use it as a weighting agent to make mud flaps for big trucks. Not that that's a big market, but it's a primary weighting agent. It's critical. It's valuable to us, so we're going to establish a compliant resource. Barite used to be produced near our project back in the 50s.
Can we just talk about, obviously, Ross, you've been putting out your shareholder letters more frequently now that you're CEO. It feels like you guys are looking at a busy fall for Calico and some of the exploration. Do you guys want to just talk a little bit about what you're thinking or looking at going forward with this fall, winter for Calico?
Sure. Yeah, I think we do have a very busy fall, winter, and to be honest, I think longer term as well. I think the project is going to start gaining momentum once the mineral resource estimate that Andy was just referring to is out, and that's in the fairly near term, I think. At that point, we're going to start moving the project forward. Now we'll have a base to be able to start establishing in the future, say fairly near term, we want to do a preliminary economic assessment. There's a number of steps that we have to do in order to get that. But I think having the mineral resource estimate out shortly, we'll be following over the next several months in project development. We'll be looking at advancing. How do we advance the permitting front, the regulatory components, work at the project level, be it metallurgical, geotechnical. So there's quite a few steps involved with advancing the project forward, but that's going to be the next several months. And also should mention them, now that we've grown the property, with the acquiring what we call the mule claims, essentially tripling the size of the Calico project, we now have a lot of blue sky exploration potential as well. So there will be exploration, on the new claims. There's exploration to be done even on the established claims. There is project development. We've got a new project manager, that will be joining us on the project as well. So yeah, I just think all aspects, the project's really starting to gain momentum. The next several months we'll be planning, but then we'll be busy in the field probably starting in October, November, December, and I anticipate that momentum will continue on into 2026 and beyond.
Can you talk a little bit about, you've mentioned before the 4 growth plans for Calico. I'm assuming some of what you just covered is part of that, but just for investors to again gain that clarity.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, the growth plans we're talking about, one is project development, and that's really what I was just talking about over the last few minutes. That's project development, and really the other aspects of that would be exploration for silver, which we already touched on, having the new claim. So that gives us a lot of new blue sky there. So the third element of the growth plan is also exploring for gold. We know there's gold associated on the property. There's already 70,000 ounces in the resource as it stands right now. We know that, or believe that can grow. And from some of the work that we've done earlier this year, field work during the winter months, we've shown that there's more potential for gold discoveries on the project. sort of near the southeast end of the Waterloo project in particular looks very attractive. So that's the third element, would be gold exploration. And fourth is the advancement of critical minerals, i.e. barite. And that's really, what Andy was just referring to, talking about the barite commodity being a critical mineral. So we do have all those four pathways of growth at the Calico Project.
Andy, can we, I know we don't have a crystal ball, but can we assume, as you guys just talked about, the Equinox Fast Track 41 project, and with this resource update with barite, right time, right place, right government for Calico to move forward?
Permitting mines and takes years. It's not a simple process. It can go through, a couple administrative terms quite easily. I guess what I would say is that the Equinox was 5 years trying to get their expansion permit approved, and but it clearly got help with the federal government here with Fast 41, and it's moved forward. And I don't think, now this is my personal conjecture, but I don't think that this stops at the end of the Trump administration. I think that there's a much bigger paradigm shift here, if you will, happening here, and that the US is going to have to spend, and North America and the Western world are going to be in this for a couple decades anyway. We're reversing the trend of trying to of getting away from domestic production, and now we're returning to that. So I think it bodes well for us. What Castle Mountain just got is something that's very beneficial for us. We could talk about silver is clearly more valuable in the industrial stream than gold is, and so there's a lot of value to domestic production of silver for the solar industry and things like that. And I think where the company is right now, what it has, being one of the largest undeveloped primary silver deposits in the United States, in a county that the federal government is helping to see things approved, is going to bode well for us in the future.
Maybe some commentary, what you're seeing on the macros for silver, because again, like you just said, the largest undeveloped silver project in the US. I feel like you probably have a very good handle on what's going on.
Well, the silver price is ticking up regularly, and when we bought this project, silver was priced at $28 an ounce. It dropped to around $20 an ounce when we first did some internal scoping work on it to see what economics might look like. Silver was around $24 an ounce, and we were saying, this project might look interesting if silver was trading in the mid 30s. And here we are today, and I don't know, like, I've been away for a week or two. I'm not sure where silver's trading, but I'll suspect that it's higher than $36 an ounce. And the prognosticators are suggesting that it's going a lot higher, and I don't doubt that. So I think we're in a really good spot at a really good time, and it's ours to deliver.
And I'll just echo that. Yeah, silver is absolutely on an upward trajectory of the price. It's I think just this calendar year, since the beginning of January, it's up probably in the order of $8 an ounce, which is about 35% or so increase in value. But I think the trajectory is looking strong. We think, we're strong believers that the price of silver is moving up. But it's not only that. There's an overall shift in the energy industry worldwide. With improvements in energy being, and silver just absolutely is a key part of that equation, whether it be energy created on, solar energy, nuclear. There's all kinds of aspects, but silver is an absolute necessary mineral in the burgeoning economy of the future. So you just know that we feel very strong that the price is moving north, even from where it sits right now.
I 100% agree. I think most of the commodities are near some of their all-time highs, but silver still has not. So I feel like there's lots of room to grow on that one. For investors, I know we covered some of the things that they can look forward to as far as press releases coming up this fall, but do you want to talk about any conferences or anything else that they can connect with you or meet you guys?
I suspect we're going to be at quite a few of them. I think we're going to be at Red Cloud's conference this fall. We're going to be at Beaver Creek. That's more of a private do with all the bankers and funds, but we'll be there. I'm presuming we'll be back at BMO. I suspect the company will end up doing some of the one-to-one events, and we're always available. And the company's going to be active over the next 12 months for sure. I mean, aside from just the busyness of the group with respect to its projects, we're a company that wants to get out there and get in front of people, and I think you'll see us out there a lot of times. So yeah, appreciate the support, and if any of your listeners want to engage further, just reach out to Ross or I to dig in deeper.
Andy, I wanted to congratulate you as well for the acquisition that Prime is going into. Fantastic with Torex. Do you want to just, again, any commentary from the two of you that you're seeing like these acquisitions even in the mid tiers now? Ross, obviously you've been it for some of the bigger companies, but it's obviously feels like a really great time for juniors, mid tiers, and
just to start off on the comment there, I think M&A activity is very real, and it's present, and it's growing. We don't have to look very far in the silver sector to see an important merger acquisition story with Pan American taking over Mag Silver. I think consolidation is a natural evolution to the industry. There's lots of smaller players. There's very few players though with the quality of assets that we have in our portfolio though, and so I think that is always going to make Apollo attractive no matter what. But I do think that the whole M&A activity there is just really beginning, not only in silver, I think in commodities in general, but in our case, particularly silver.
And then I would just add to that within the next 2 or 3 months, and at the outset Prime is going to get taken over by Torex, freeing up about $450 million in investment capital from a bunch of people that have followed our group in the past and our success in Mexico. And so I think there's a natural swing to some of that capital into Apollo. And I think it's going to bode really well. I think I'm excited, and there's lots to come. So yeah, I think the time's right for this company.
well, as we come to the close, I'd obviously love for our next podcast as we follow up to talk about your project in Mexico, as well as we just talked about M&A and silver producers, as that's one of the best places for production of silver. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we can have that conversation.
Very much look forward to talking about all that, Callie, and we'll in a 2-3 weeks out from now, be very excited to update you on all of our activities.